woman found a time traveler in the 1800s. Soldiers chased her, and a cowboy said, "That was mine." In the unforgiving wilds of the 1800s, Martha, a resilient woman haunted by loss, crosses paths with a stranger out of time. Hunted by forces she doesn't understand and aided by a cowboy with secrets of his own, she's thrust into a web of trust, betrayal, and survival. Their fates collide under a sky where nothing is as it seems. Welcome, friend. Settle in close. Let me take you back. Wayland County, Montana Territory, October of 1879. The air smelled of wood smoke and wild sage, the sun low over gold-brushed hills. Folks were still rebuilding after the war, patching fences and hearts the best they could. It was a time when stories traveled faster than trains, and a good pair of boots could outrun almost anything. Almost. What happened out here began quiet, like most reckonings do. A woman riding alone, a strange man in the woods, and something unnatural stirring just beyond the ridge. A tale worth remembering. Let's begin. The year was 1854, and the Wyoming sky cracked open with a roar that felt biblical. Thunder rolled like distant cannon fire, echoing off the mountains, while slate-gray clouds churned low over the pines. The wilderness breathed cold and damp, a place where the dead could speak if you were quiet enough. Martha Carver wasn't listening for ghosts. She already carried enough of them. Her mare, Lily, plodded through the muddy path with mechanical resolve, hooves sucking into the wet earth, tail flicking irritably at gnats. Martha hunched over the saddle, wool cloak sodden and heavy against her back, bonnet flapping loose at the neck. Her rifle was slung across her saddlebag, wrapped in oilcloth, her only friend these days. She was 28, though her eyes carried decades. Grief had etched its own lines across her face, one for each loss. Henry, her husband, had never returned from Mexico. Their son, Levi, hadn't made it past his 6th winter. Consumption, the doctor had whispered, as though the word itself might bite. Now, there was no doctor, no whisper, no one, just the wild. She wasn't heading anywhere in particular, just west. That was all anyone knew how to say anymore. Go west. As if salvation waited behind the next ridge, as if God still bothered with maps. Something moved in the trees ahead. She slowed the mare, hand brushing the butt of her pistol. Her instincts, honed over silent, sleepless nights, twitched like a bird sensing storm. A sound, not quite a groan, not quite a cry, more like a hum, low and metallic, wrong. She dismounted, boots squelching into the moss. The forest narrowed in around her, pines so dense they swallowed light. The hum grew louder. 10 paces off the trail, she saw him. A man curled against the roots of a cedar tree, pale, barefoot, clothes gleaming faintly under the canopy, silver, tight-fitting, seamless, a small black object lay in his palm, flickering like a dying star. He looked as if he'd fallen out of the sky, as if time itself had rejected him. Martha crouched, pistol trained on his chest. She hadn't spoken in 2 days, but the words came out steady. "You alive?" His eyes fluttered open, not blue, not green, something else. Shifting. "Where? What year is this?" he rasped. She stared. 1854. He exhaled like a man punched in the gut. Looked down at the object in his hand. It sparked once, hissed, then died. His body sagged. No. Overshot it. They'll be here. They're not far behind." "Who?" Martha asked, her voice caught. "Who's after you?" He looked up at her, eyes urgent and far too lucid for a dying man. "They don't wear flags. They don't sleep. If they find this..." He held up the device. "It's over. For everyone." She didn't understand the words, but the fear in his voice was real enough. He tried to push himself up. Failed. Blood smeared the grass beneath him. Deep gash along the ribs. Torn skin along the collarbone. Martha glanced around. No bird song, no wind. Just the faint hiss of the dying storm, and the thrumming silence of a forest that knew something was wrong. Common sense told her to walk away. Instead, She grabbed him under the arms and hauled him toward her horse. "You pass out, you fall off. I'm not turning around," she grunted. "Understood," he murmured. He was heavier than he looked. The silver fabric was warm and dry despite the rain. She lifted him onto the horse, climbing up behind, steadying him with one arm as Lily lurched forward. The device buzzed again. The man clutched it tight. Behind them, in the shadows of the pine, something shifted. Martha looked over her shoulder, hand tightening around the reins. At first, she thought it was just trees moving in the wind. Then one of them blinked. Black shapes. Tall, too. Oh, tall. Moving without sound. Not horses, not men. Something in between. The man saw them too. "They found me. How many? Doesn't matter." She kicked Lily into a gallop. Branches clawed at her face. Mud sprayed into the air. The forest thinned. Lightning flashed, and for half a second she saw their pursuers clearly. They didn't run. They glided. Uniforms black and clean like funeral suits. Faces, not faces. Smooth metal or glass, no mouths, just a single red slit where eyes should be. The thunder cracked again, not from the sky this time. A blast struck a tree to her left. It glowed red at the center, bark crumbling into cinders. The man slumped, murmuring something in a language she didn't know. She wasn't a fighter, not really. She'd shot a man once, when he tried to steal her mule 2 winters ago, but this wasn't the same. This was bigger, and she was in it. The trail curved downward. Rain turned the slope into a slide. Lily lost footing, skidded. Martha gritted her teeth, kept the man upright. He was mumbling again. "Must get west. Need the ridge. It aligns there." Martha looked down. The device in his hand blinked once, a pulsing dot, pointing like a compass. Her only choice was to follow it. They broke from the woods into open plain. Sagebrush and long grass and rocks sharp as knives. Wind clawed at her cloak, drove the rain sideways. She could still hear them behind. No hooves, no shouts, just that eerie hum, that awful electric growl. A figure emerged on the ridge. Not a pursuer. A man, wide-brimmed hat, long duster, one hand resting on the butt of a revolver, watching her. As she rode closer, he stepped into the trail. "Help!" she shouted. He didn't move. Then his eyes landed on the man slumped in front of her. "That's mine," he said. Martha yanked the reins, stopping hard. Mud flew. Lily reared. The silver-suited man groaned. "What?" The stranger nodded at the object in his hand. "That device, that man. I've been waiting for both." "They're chasing us," Martha barked. "They're not far." "I know. Been hunting them longer than you've known how to hold a gun." "You're not making sense." "No, but I don't need to." The hum grew louder. The cowboy turned, calm as Sunday morning, and drew both revolvers. Blue fire flashed in the distance. 6 shots. 3 shapes fell. He holstered. "They'll regroup. Keep moving. There's a gulch ahead, narrow enough to slow them down." "Who the hell are you?" "Eli Boone, bounty hunter. And you're sitting on the bounty." Martha didn't move. "I'm not giving him to you." Eli shrugged. "Then ride faster." He turned and started walking. Martha hesitated only a second, then urged Lily forward. She followed him. The gulch was narrow, its walls high and steep. Rain had carved it deep. Echoes bounced off the stone like whispers. The humming grew fainter, but it hadn't vanished. Eli moved ahead, light on his feet, checking corners, hands never far from his guns. The man, whose name Martha still didn't know, was breathing shallow. His skin flickered like a bad lantern, fading and brightening with each heartbeat. Eli studied him. "Not long left. He needs a doctor. He needs a year that hasn't happened yet." Martha stared. "You're saying he's not from now?" "I'm saying he's 20 years early and brought hell with him." Lightning split the sky. In the brief white light, Martha saw the faces again, those smooth masks at the entrance to the gulch. "Move," Eli barked. They pushed deeper. The gulch narrowed to single file. A stone overhang loomed ahead. "Stop here," Eli said. He reached into his saddlebag, pulled out dynamite sticks. "You keep dynamite on your horse? Lady, I carry regrets. This is lighter." He set the charges while Martha helped the silver man down. He groaned, fingers twitching toward the device. "What does it do?" she asked. "Finds the anchor point," he said. "The place I entered. If I reach it, Beth, or they do, I can close it. And if you don't, then you learn what extinction smells like." The device pulsed, brighter now. He pointed west. 3 miles. That way. The dynamite went off behind them, sealing the gulch. For now. Eli dusted off his hands. "That'll buy us an hour." "You said he's a bounty." "Yeah, but not the kind that pays in coin. My grandfather told stories about a man dressed in silver, said he came from a time when the sky burned and rivers ran dry. He tried to stop it, failed, disappeared." Eli looked at the man now. Guess he didn't disappear far. They built a fire beneath a stone outcrop. The rain slowed. Martha wrapped a blanket around the stranger, pressed water to his lips. He opened his eyes again, focused. "My name is Lucas. I came from 2137. My daughter, she died. They said time travel could fix the past, that I could make it right. But I brought something back, something I shouldn't have." He gestured to the flickering sky. "They weren't supposed to follow. They weren't supposed to know I left." Martha sat back, mind reeling. "You brought them here, those things. They're looking for the device." He nodded. "I'm sorry." Eli stared into the fire. "What happens if you destroy it?" Lucas's hand trembled. "Then I'm stuck. And the future becomes uncertain. What if we destroy them?" Lucas managed a broken smile. "Good luck." Martha stood and walked to the edge of the ridge. The rain had stopped. The sky was breaking open, stars poking through like old memories. Below, in the darkness, faint red lights hovered, searching. She'd spent years thinking her story was over, that she'd lost everything worth saving. But now, with every beat of her heart, she felt the old fire return. She looked down at the device in Lucas's hand. It blinked once. Then again. She would take him there. She would fight to the last bullet if she had to. Not for the world, not for history, for herself. And for the chance to become something more than just a woman running from ghosts. The wind howled across too. He high plains like a living thing, dragging icy fingers through the tall grass and kicking dust against the riders' faces. A chill crept through Martha Carver's bones, not just from the cold, but from the certainty that something unnatural still hunted them. They rode hard beneath a bruised sky. Behind them, the shattered gulch lay quiet, rocks still settling from the blast Eli Boone had rigged with his careful, practiced hands. But silence didn't mean safety. Whatever those masked things were, they didn't stop, didn't sleep, didn't bleed. Lucas, the man from another century, sagged against Martha's back as she rode. His body was failing him. The shimmering suit he wore had dimmed to a dull grey, the fabric torn, scorched at the shoulder where a black-gloved hand had clawed him. Still his grip remained firm on the device, that flickering, pulsing object, that impossible compass. Eli rode ahead, leading them across a sea of golden prairie as the sky shifted from steel to amber. The cowboy's silhouette was outlined against the horizon like something from myth, long coat trailing, rifle strapped across his back, hat pulled low. "How far?" Martha called out, her voice ragged from wind and exhaustion. Eli didn't turn. "Closer than we were, but they're gaining. They shouldn't be able to find us this fast. They shouldn't be able to do a lot of things, and yet, here we are." Lucas stirred. His breath came in shallow gasps. "They lock onto the signal. The moment I use the device, even briefly, it draws them. Not all of them, but enough." "So what? We ride blind?" Martha asked. "Just hope we stumble into your magic hole in the world?" "No," Lucas whispered. "We wait until the very end, when it's near. Then I guide us in." Eli grunted. Better be right. They veered down into a valley flanked by steep granite cliffs. Here the grass grew in tufts, the earth rose, ken and dry. A river once flowed through this place. Now it was a cracked scar winding between rocks. The horses slowed to navigate the uneven ground. Eli raised a hand. Martha reined in beside him. Something's wrong, he said quietly. The wind had stopped. Not calmed. Stopped. The air was still in a way that set Martha's nerves crawling. Even the horses sensed it, ears flicking, eyes wide. Trap? She asked. Ambush, Eli replied. He slid from his saddle, crouched low. Martha helped Lucas down. He leaned against a stone, clutching his side. Eli moved ahead with the grace of a mountain lion, drawing his revolvers. His eyes scanned the ridges, the shadows. And then they came, from above, from the cliffs. 6 of them, maybe more, descending like spiders. No ropes, no sound, just motion and menace. Eli fired first. 3 shots, 3 clean hits. One of the figures spun backward, limbs flailing unnaturally. Another collapsed, hissing as its black shell cracked. But the rest kept coming. Martha unslung her rifle, fired once, missed. The second shot hit square in the center of one's chest. It didn't fall, but it staggered. Lucas pushed the device into her hand. Get it to the ridge. What about you? I'll slow them. You know this land. I don't. I'm not leaving you. Then we both die. Eli shouted. Move, damn it! Martha hesitated, then swung back into the saddle. Lucas gave her a nod, half gratitude, half farewell, and turned toward the creatures with a broken piece of stone in his hand like it mattered. She rode. The world blurred past, cracked earth, scattered boulders, the ghost of a river. Above, clouds spiraled in unnatural patterns, like something behind them was pulling the weather apart. Eli appeared beside her moments later, face grim, duster flapping in the wind he created with speed alone. Did he stay? He asked. Yes. He won't last long. He knows. They crested a rise. The land flattened. In the distance, a crooked spire of stone jutted into the sky like a finger pointing to the heavens. Lucas's voice echoed in her memory. The ridge. It aligns there. That spire, she said. Eli nodded. Then that's where we hold. The wind returned suddenly, fierce and wild, but with it came the hum, that low, inhuman thrumming. Eli turned in the saddle. Here they come. Martha stopped the horse at the base of the spire. She dismounted, boots crunching against loose gravel. The device pulsed in her hand, faster now, bright. She held it up. It vibrated, pointed to the stone like a divining rod. We're close. Eli began pulling supplies from his saddlebag. 2 boxes of bullets, a small hatchet, a final stick of dynamite. You ever set charges? He asked. No. You're about to learn. Together they packed explosives into a narrow crevice between 2 boulders leading up to the ridge, a natural choke point. We blow this when they get too close. By a few seconds more, Eli said. Then they waited. The sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows grew longer. Stars emerged, sharp and too many. The sky was wrong tonight, off kilter. Lucas stumbled into view, blood on his lips, hands empty. Martha ran to him. You made it. He smiled weakly. Only barely. Behind him, movement. A dozen of them, maybe more. They crept into the valley like phantoms, no sound, no flame, just the red slit of their eyes and the soft clink of their armor. Eli raised his rifle. You sure this is the spot? Lucas nodded. It's here, the anchor. I can open it, but not while they're moving. I need a minute. You'll have 30 seconds. The fight began like a thunderclap. Eli's rifle cracked. One enemy fell. Then another. Martha fired from beside a boulder, heart pounding. She didn't miss this time. She didn't flinch. Lucas knelt, device in hand. It floated above his palm now, spinning, glowing. Circuits unraveled from its edges like roots reaching into the air. A humming sound grew louder, different from the other. It's like something was waking up. Eli reloaded without looking, rolled to the side, and threw the last stick of dynamite into the narrow pass. It exploded in a shower of rock and flame. For a moment, everything stilled. Martha looked around. Smoke. Fire. Silence. Then, movement again. One rose from the rubble. Limbs twisted, mask cracked. Still coming. "Lucas!" she shouted. "It's now or never." He screamed something. Not words, more like tones. The device pulsed and exploded outward in light. The air shimmered. A rift opened. It wasn't a door. Not really. More like a tear in the world. Through it, Martha saw a sky she didn't recognize. Towers of glass, blue lights, a strange pulsing moon. Lucas turned to her. "I can hold it, but I can't close it from this side." Eli stepped forward. "You said they'll follow. If they cross, they'll bring ruin. This world can't take them." Martha stared at the rift, then at the device, then back at Lucas. "What happens to you?" "I go home, if I make it." He looked at the last figure staggering toward them, mask half gone, revealing a pale, hollow face beneath. "I have to take it back." Martha made a decision. She raised her rifle and fired. The final creature collapsed, smoke rising from its chest. Lucas looked at her with something between sorrow and gratitude. "I never meant for this. I know." He turned, walked into the rift, and vanished. The light dimmed, the air stilled. The sky returned to normal, as if reality itself exhaled. Eli lowered his rifle. Well, that happened. Martha sat on a rock, heart still racing, blood on her hands, dirt in her hair. She looked up at the stars, now steady, familiar. "What now?" she asked. Eli lit a cigarette, took a long drag. "Now, we ride back. Tell nobody. Let the story die." She nodded. But she knew the story wouldn't die, because it was hers now, and she'd carry it forever. The prairie looked different in the aftermath, quieter, still, but not peaceful. The kind of stillness that settles in after something is broken and can't be put back the same. Martha stood on the edge of the ridge where the rift had once shimmered. The air was normal now, no hum, no distortion, just wind whispering through the tall grass. But she kept staring at that spot, like it might open again, like Lucas might return. She held the device in her hand, or what was left of it. The smooth casing had cracked, and the core no longer pulsed. Whatever power had fueled it, whatever science or sorcery had made time itself bend, it was spent. Just a husk now. Cold. Eli knelt nearby, cleaning his revolver in slow, methodical motions. He said nothing, but his eyes flicked to her now and again, watching, waiting. She finally spoke. He was right. About all of it. "Yeah," Eli said, after a moment. He was. That thing, the rift, the place on the other side, it wasn't a dream. No. She turned to him. "So what happens now?" Eli holstered his gun. "Same thing that happens every time the world almost ends. We bury the dead. We ride back home. And we try not to talk about it. Can't be that easy. Never said it was easy, just that it's what folks do." He stood, dusted himself off, and looked at the horizon. The sky was beginning to pale, soft blues bleeding into the last of the stars. "Come on. We got a long ride." They rode in silence for most of the morning, past gullies and half-dried riverbeds, past charred brush where fire had raged the night before. A hawk circled overhead, and Martha found herself envying its distance from the ground. She kept seeing Lucas in her mind, his eyes glassy with pain but burning with purpose, the way he had held the line, knowing he couldn't stay, knowing she had to live, to remember. They stopped at a shaded grove to rest the horses and refill their canteens. Martha leaned against a tree, eyes closed. "Why'd you help him?" she asked suddenly. Eli, sitting across from her, shrugged. "Didn't seem right to leave him behind." "No, I mean, why really? You didn't trust him at first. You said he'd bring trouble, that he was lying." "I was wrong." Martha waited. Eli rarely admitted being wrong. "He was scared," he continued, "and desperate, but he wasn't lying, not about the danger and not about the place he came from." Martha studied his face. There was something behind his words, something deeper. "You knew," she said, "didn't you? About time. About them." Eli didn't look at her. "I've seen things," he muttered. "Things I couldn't explain. Once, out near the edge of the Badlands, I saw a man vanish in front of me. Just blinked out. Gone. Left behind a trail of footprints and a smell like lightning." He paused. "That was 20 years ago. I thought I was going crazy. Tried to forget. But it sticks." Martha's brow furrowed. "You never said anything. Didn't seem like the kind of story folks wanted to hear. And truth is, part of me wanted to believe I imagined it." She looked down at the cracked device in her lap. "You think more of them will come?" Eli was silent for a long time. Then, "If they can, they will." The wind shifted. Something about it made Martha's skin crawl. She tucked the device into her satchel and stood. They mounted up again and pressed eastward. The land flattened out into open prairie. In the distance, smoke curled from the chimney of a farmhouse. Familiar. Martha's heart twisted. It was the old Harris place. They hadn't been back this way since the start of it all, since Lucas had come stumbling out of the woods, dazed and hunted. Eli slowed. "We stopping?" Martha nodded. "I have to." The farm was quiet. The barn still stood, though its doors hung crooked. The windmill creaked but still turned. Chickens clucked in a coop, unaware of the change in the world. Martha tied her horse and walked up the steps of the porch. The boards groaned under her boots. She reached for the door but hesitated. Inside, the memory of her sister lingered like smoke. Lila's voice, her logged, the warm smell of cinnamon and cedar. But it was just a ghost now. The door swung open with a push. The house was as they'd left it, dishes still in the sink, a shawl draped over the armchair. A family's life paused. Frozen in the moment it shattered. Martha walked to the mantel, picked up a photo. Her, Lila, and their father, all of them smiling. Eli entered quietly behind her. "Didn't know you two were close." "We weren't. Not always. But she was all I had." Martha set the photo down. "She died because of them." "Yeah. I thought I'd hate him for that," she said. "Lucas. But I don't. He didn't want this. No. He didn't." She turned. "You think it's over?" Eli exhaled through his nose. "No. Me neither." Martha stepped outside, stood on the porch, and looked out across the field. The sunrise painted the sky in streaks of gold and crimson. "I need to go," she said quietly. Eli frowned. "Where?" "Wherever it leads. That place Lucas came from. It wasn't just machines and lights. It was a future. One that has to be protected, maybe even changed." "You're saying you want to follow him?" "No. I want to understand. So we're ready if they come again." Eli looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right. You won't stop me? Wouldn't dream of it. Hell, I'll ride with you a while, but I don't think I'm meant to follow that far. Martha smiled faintly. You've got that look, like an old wolf who's seen one winter too many. Damn right. They saddled up again. As they rode, Martha felt something shift inside her. Not peace, exactly, but clarity. Purpose. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was legacy. She carried something now. A warning. A truth. And one day, the world would need it. They reached the edge of Dust Valley by nightfall, where the hills thinned out and the land opened into a basin ringed by ragged peaks. Beneath the stars, a faint silver glow flickered along the rocks, old tribal land, a place few dared enter anymore. Some said spirits walked here, others swore the earth itself remembered things people had forgotten. Martha had grown up hearing the stories. Her father once brought her here as a child, pointed at the glowing stones and said, "This is a wound in the world. You don't step too close unless you want it bleeding again." Now she stepped close. The device, what was left of it, had begun to vibrate faintly, not like before, not alive, but like it still knew where it came from, like it wanted to show her something. Eli stood a few feet back, arms crossed, his silhouette lit by the fire he'd built. He didn't say a word as she moved forward, only watched her with quiet resolve. She found it at the center of the basin, a scar in the ground, no wider than a wagon wheel, but deep. Too deep. And at the bottom, flickering like the last breath of a candle, was light. Not moonlight, not firelight. Something else. Something old. Martha knelt beside it and placed the remains of the device at the edge. She didn't know what she expected. An answer, maybe, or closure. What she got was memory. Images rushed through her mind. Lucas, as a boy, running through a city of chrome towers. The machines that once served humankind now hunting them. His mother, her face blurred in panic, shoving him through a portal and sealing it behind him. A future undone by greed, by blind ambition, by fear. And then, her. Standing in a field of ash, rifle in hand, watching the last of the creatures dissolve beneath a shattered sky. Not here, not now, but somewhere. Sometime. It wasn't just Lucas's burden. It was hers. When the vision faded, Martha collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. Eli was there in an instant, steadying her. "You saw it," he said. She nodded. "And?" "It's worse than we thought. They're not just invaders. They're survivors, but twisted, consumed by whatever was chasing them." Eli looked toward the scar. "So, we're caught in the middle?" "No," Martha said, standing slowly. "We're the beginning. We're the warning. If this world doesn't change, we become them." She turned to him. "I can't go back to normal life after this." Eli didn't smile, but something in his eyes softened. "Didn't think you would. What about you?" "I'm old, Martha. Been drifting through this life like a ghost, waiting for a bullet or a bottle to finish me. Thought maybe this was finally it. But you've still got something to give." He reached into his coat and handed her a folded piece of cloth. She opened it. Maps, marked with strange notations. Circles, arrows, names she didn't recognize. "I've been tracking stories for years," he said. "Disappearances, lights in the sky, men who didn't age, never knew what to do with it. But maybe you will." She clutched it tightly. "You sure?" He nodded. "Consider it parting wisdom from a tired old fool." They sat by the fire one last time. The wind was gentle now, brushing through the trees with a sound like distant whispers. "I always thought I'd die here," Eli said. "On this land, gun in hand, nobody remembering my name." "You'll be remembered," Martha said. He glanced at her. Not by many, by the right ones. They fell quiet again, and the night stretched around them like a blanket of stars. In the morning, Martha rose early. The light was soft and golden, casting long shadows across the basin. Eli was still sleeping, or pretending to, but she didn't wake him. Instead, she saddled her horse, slipped the maps and the inert device into her satchel, and looked east. There were questions to ask, people to find, stories to uncover before they became warnings too late to heed. She turned once more toward Eli. "Thank you." He didn't open his eyes, just raised a hand in farewell. She rode out alone. And yet, she wasn't alone, because something had changed in her. The quiet rage that had once driven her over Lila's death, over the injustice of survival, had become something sharper, clearer, not just grief, not just vengeance, purpose. She would find the others, the ones who had seen things too, the ones carrying pieces of a puzzle too vast for any one person. She would listen, learn, and when the time came, she would fight. Not because she wanted to, but because someone had to. As she rode across the horizon, the camera would pan up, past the dust trails, past the golden plains, past the wide, infinite sky. And far above, where no one on horseback could see, a satellite blinked to life. It had not signaled in over 100 years, until now. Its message was short. Target reacquired. Displacement anomaly confirmed. Initiate Phase 2. Then, darkness. A beat. And finally, Martha's voice. Quiet, resolute, unshakable. If you ever find yourself running from something you can't explain, trust your gut. Trust the land, and don't wait for someone else to save you. Because the truth is, sometimes you're the one who's meant to stand. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you think about the choices we make, the history we carry, and the future we shape, then let us know. Like the video, leave a comment about what you would have done in Martha's place, and most of all, subscribe. There's more to this story, and the next one might begin with you. Thanks for watching. Stay alert and stay brave and stay